Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to help you and your family cruise a little smarter, except for today we are turning our focus back to Run Disney, and I'd like to welcome to the show our co-host from Los Angeles who just got back from time at Adidas where he was actually trying on shoes and helping out the running world. How you doing today, Chris?
Good. I mean, I don't know about helping out the running world, but I did get some cool new running shoes for me, and I'm excited to try them.
You got the opportunity to go to one of the company stores up here. What did you think?
It was so cool. Honestly, if I one could get an employee discount and two be that close to it all the time, I would have way too many running shoes because it's so tempting when you have a little bit of a discount to just be like, I'll try this shoe and that shoe. And also the shoes I bought 70% because I thought they were pretty. So it's a problem. But you know why I'm so excited today?
Why?
Because Lake from Lakeland and Katie from Katie'ville are on the show.
What's up, guys?
Hey there.
Hi.
Glad to have you guys back. We are going to talk a little Run Disney, and in particular, we're going to talk about Disney Princess Half Marathon Weekend. Without any further ado, let's kind of just jump into it. You guys have done a lot of different Run Disney events, which is why we wanted to have you guys back as kind of our experts in Run Disney. And why don't you give us a little overview, you guys, as far as what makes Princess Half Marathon Weekend different compared to the other ones?
So Princess Half Marathon Weekend is probably the most popular, I would say, maybe slightly behind the January weekend because of the marathon. But Princess Weekend is very much female-oriented, princess-themed, and you get a lot of groups of lady friends out there running. They do so much extra, female-oriented stuff. It's super fun. Lake loves it for some reason. He can explain that.
So a lot of my attachment to it is it was my first half, and I typically have pretty good luck with PRs at this race. It was the first race where I cracked 2 hours, and then now I just cracked 1:30, which we'll get into later. It's also a fun weekend. There's lots of excitement, lots of hype going on throughout.
Yeah, and it also is one of the 2 half marathon opportunities you have to through Magic Kingdom and actually run through the castle. The other 2 weekends out of the year, Star Wars and Wine and Dine, you don't even go to Magic Kingdom. So that's always a really special opportunity, I think.
When I did Marathon Weekend and we ran through the castle, I didn't realize that wasn't just the iconic part of every Disney race, because it just seems like it's so quintessential. So that's interesting. I guess I didn't realize that some races don't go to Magic Kingdom. I'm sure we'll do other shows about those other weekends, but just out of curiosity, where do the other race routes typically go through, if not through Magic Kingdom?
Yeah, so Wine and Dine and the Star Wars weekend both do a course where they start in the Magic Kingdom parking lot, and you don't run through Magic Kingdom at all. You actually run a back road to Animal Kingdom, and you get to run through a lot of Animal Kingdom typically, which is pretty cool. And then you run over to Hollywood and then through Epcot. So you don't touch Magic Kingdom at all. Whereas with the Princess and Walt Disney World course, you don't get to go through Hollywood or Animal.
Interesting. And I feel like everything's up for grabs right now in terms of race routes because of the construction at Epcot.
Yeah, that's very true. I was actually surprised that they weren't changed more, but they definitely have changed since the good old days.
Well, let's talk about some of the just dynamics of this race itself. As you were talking about, Katie, lots of women get down there. I haven't been down there for Princess Half Marathon Weekend, but just kind of following along just through social media. It seems like it's a great weekend. And I think Chris, I think you might agree with me on this as well, just in general. Just Run Disney's just a fun thing to do as a group of people. And Princess Half Marathon Weekend just seems like it's a great time where groups of women get together to come down, run, and just spend some time together. Is that what you guys kind of see or sense?
Absolutely. You get a lot of like friend groups who come together to do it. Lots of like mother-daughter, sisters. It seems like a lot of people use it as like an opportunity to do like girls' weekend reunions. And I feel like there's a lot of that kind of women supporting women feel as well, which is, I feel is very powerful.
And kind of supporting that, it's scaled back. But when these races first started, I don't know if men couldn't run it originally, but for a while, men didn't get any sort of awards. There was no overall awards, no age group awards for any males running this race.
Right. And they've changed that now. I believe men were always able to run it, but they, like you said, didn't do awards. And since they started giving, age placement awards and such, it has increased, but it's still notably way more women than men.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. There were 20,499 finishers in the half. 17,525 were women, which leaves 2,974 men in total, which is up about 1,000 from last year.
Well, speaking of that, with that many people coming down there and spending weekends together, how is it as far as being able to get into these races, you guys? Is this something that as soon as it opens up that you need to be online and be able to register for it? Is this something that sells out right away, I guess is what I'm asking?
Yeah, so it definitely varies from race weekend to race weekend and even year to year, depending on if races have a big anniversary. But I think as for selling out early, Princess tends to be kind of the big one, still depending on theme and anniversary. But this is definitely, I think, the race weekend where people stress the most about it. Things will usually fill up that first day. I think everything was sold out this year for this race weekend.
I think you're right, because at one point I went and looked at trying to upgrade to the challenge, and I know the challenge was out. The half lasted a little longer. I know at Wine and Dine the half was still open for Princess, because I went and talked to see if I could combine my 10K with the half and get into the challenge, but they didn't go for that. But this one definitely is more popular. I think maybe it took a little longer to sell out because they let more people in for this one compared to like Wine and Dine, but definitely the 10K and the 5K and the challenge went quick.
That's an interesting thing that I hadn't thought about. In your experience, have you ever been able to like later add on the challenge if you only booked one race, or is there like a Run Disney policy about like, oh, I booked the 5K, but now I decide I actually want to run all three?
So they do have a process where you can do upgrades. So I've actually upgraded from just a 10K to the challenge before. The caveat is like what you want to go to needs to be open. And they have a form you can fill out. Technically, you register for the new race. They refund you from the old one. You have to pay like a $45 fee and they'll do it. In this case, that wasn't what happened. And then another opportunity, when they first did the Star Wars race, we were able to move from the 10K to the challenge. They actually had a booth set up at Princess Expo and with Run Disney personnel there that like facilitated that for you. They can be stingy about it. Sometimes it depends on who you talk to at Run Disney.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I think like the other thing, we're recording this, and was it just today or just yesterday that AP and DVC were able to book Wine and Dine?
It was today.
Yes, that was a whole ordeal this morning.
Because we had to get in today because we won't have internet access on Tuesday when full registration opens.
Well, then, I guess sidebar, was that easy or was that process stressful?
It was more stressful today than it usually has been. It felt like the internet or something was running slow. I don't know if the page was crashing. We got in. That's what matters. I
did hear that for this year for Wine and Dine, they changed the cutoff for submitting a proof of time from 2:45 to 2:30 for the half marathon.
Yep, which stinks for me because I was I put that I'll be in that 2:30 corral, but I was really going for a proof of time, and I've been working really hard, and they just made it harder.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's rough. I feel like a lot of people will probably be disappointed that they like moved the bar a little bit further back. Do you think that they're doing that because more people are participating, or maybe because of that like Club Run Disney where folks can get like preferred corral placement?
I don't think Club Run Disney is really going to affect it. Like, they're going to do what they want to do with that anyway. I think it's probably a time-saving measure in the part of the people who have to go through and verify all those thousands of proof times.
Right, because there's probably like thousands of people between 2:30 and 2:45.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so back from your wine and dine experience today towards the princess, it sounds like a ton of fun. I honestly am surprised to hear that there aren't more like gender identities included in that weekend, because I feel like everybody loves a good princess, but you know, maybe I'm biased. Did you find that there were more princess themed like photo meet and greets? Is it like very heavily that, and there aren't really like characters or stuff that basically don't tie into a princess somehow?
It's they kind of go with the themes that they pick for the races. So, for example, Pocahontas was the 10K, so they had her, but they also had the characters from her movie. And then, in addition, they had some other ones sprinkled throughout, you know, in their countries or in the backdrops that made sense. But it's definitely like they go with the theme of the weekend.
Yeah, they do still diverge a little bit. You still get, you know, some of your Mickey Mouses. Clarice is one you typically see. There was Mushu at the 10K. But there is a lot more, like, princes out, especially during the race. And at the end of the race, you can get a lot of the princesses. There's usually a rotation of about 8 of them. And
seeing the princes and some of the less often seen male characters like John Smith, Tarzan, is actually like a big draw for a lot of people to run the race too, because they're definitely rare in the park characters.
You know, I'm thinking about just Marathon Weekend because that's the only one that I've done, I guess, so far, and you don't really see a lot of the prince and princesses. It's a lot of the other characters in that weekend, so it's kind of cool that they really build that up for this weekend.
If you're someone who likes getting pictures with the princesses, meet and greeting with the princesses, this is definitely a great weekend for you.
Let's kind of go back to the nuts and bolts of the race before we kind of go into like you guys' experience, just so that people may be a little confused on it. Like, what are the races that you can run during this weekend? When you say challenge, can you kind of explain that? What is the challenge?
There's 3 main races. You can run the 5K, the 10K, and the half marathon, as well as an assortment of kids races. But you can also sign up for the Glass Slipper Challenge, is what they call it this weekend, which is the 10K and the half marathon. And if you actually finish both of them, you get the 3rd medal, which is the Fairy Tale Challenge medal.
So kind of like Marathon Weekend with the different, you know, Goofy, which is the half and the marathon, and then Dopey, which is all 4 races. And this one is kind of the same thing where it's 3 different days as far as the races go, right?
Yes.
So now you guys live in Lakeland, which is pretty close to Orlando, and I know you usually kind of stay on property. Is that what you guys did this time?
Yep, we stayed at Pop Century.
Any advice as far as for Princess Half Marathon Weekend? Is there, you know, thinking about the different places to stay around Walt Disney World, is there one better than the other that you guys have enjoyed, or any advice on that for people who want to come down there for this weekend?
I think any of the resorts on property are going to be a great bet. If you're looking for something that's like the most convenient transportation-wise, probably any of the monorail resorts, since this one does start at Epcot. You can hop on the monorail and you don't have to worry about buses. But we didn't have any problem at Pop whatsoever.
Yeah, and we didn't hear of too many people having problems this weekend either. It didn't seem that traffic at any point was an issue.
Chris, you and Seth stayed at Pop for Marathon Weekend. What was your experience there?
We did stay at Pop. I am like a mega fan of the Skyliner because it is just so much more convenient than the buses. So I would say like that was our draw to Pop, not necessarily. I bet there are probably a ton more convenient modes of transportation to get to race day. And the monorail seems like probably the most reliable, like in terms of traffic. But our bus driver just knew a way around the traffic. We were like parked in traffic texting with you and Wake. And then next thing we knew, the bus driver was like, and I'm going around this and I'm going down this back road. And we got I think we actually got into the corral area like a half hour before you and Wake, and we left around a similar time. So I think there is something to be said about like, it's a little stressful that your bus driver might not be as knowledgeable or like might not be able to like get around the traffic or whatever. So that would be my experience, is just that we lucked out, but I did hear some people had some trouble with the buses.
And you guys had no trouble with transportation this time, right? Like,
Not at all.
No, when we got to the buses both days, there was multiple buses ready, loading up and leaving basically as they were full, and we didn't have any problems with traffic at either day either.
perfect.
Were you leaving like right at the beginning of the like window, or what time did you like head out?
We were probably maybe 20 minutes after the start time on the 10K day. And I think we got there right at 3:30 on the half day.
Yep.
Okay, so between 3:30 and 4 both days, you had no trouble.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and
Great.
we made it there with really more time than I think we needed.
Well, that's just more porta potty time. So, Marathon Weekend was my first expo, and I found myself really curious about what the expos would be like for the other Run Disney weekends. Are there any differences between one Marathon Weekend versus any of the other 3 themed race weekends, or is it pretty much the expo is the same across all of it?
The basic concept of the expo is very similar, I would say. They have the official merch, they have the pickup, and they have the vendor part of the expo. You'll see differences in the characters they bring out and the backdrops they put up. Princess is actually exactly the same layout as January weekend. Again, because it's a larger race, they actually use an extra building compared to the other ones. But the process is exactly the same. Where you'll see a difference is in the vendors that they bring in. I noticed that they had some, not necessarily running clothing, they had some like bath and body, product vendors. And am I missing anything there?
No, they still had a lot of the staples that we tend to see at the Run Disney events, but there was a couple more kind of like, again, like female-oriented merchandise and vendors that were there, which I actually thought was very nice because I thought Wine and Dine and January's weekends, the expos seemed to be like dwindled down. There weren't as many vendors, so it was nice to see it filled out a little bit more.
Yeah, it was packed.
That's interesting. I feel like, I guess it probably depends on like what vendors think they will actually be able to make a sale at the expo, and that would be like who would rent the space. But
Right.
when we were there were literally like thousands of places to get Gooder glasses and like a ton of like themed, maybe like tutus and like sweatbands that look like crowns and things like that. So I imagine there's probably similar to that. Like if you didn't have a costume, or you forgot your running sunglasses, or you needed some like shoes or shorts, they also sold stuff like that even at Princess Weekend too, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. And then right next door would have been that merchandise. Did you all like fight the crowds on the first day, or were you not too worried about merch and you went on one of the like less busy days?
We went on the second day just because that's when, we got off work and we were going over for the weekend. We tend to not be fight the crowd merch people. It helps us save money. But they definitely had a lot of really nice merch. Unfortunately, a lot of the things we wanted were sold out the second day. Some of the magnets and pins, shirts, and some certain sizes Spirit jerseys they've started doing are always really popular and sell out, and especially the smaller sizes. But the merch was great. It just, they, sold out of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to predict, I guess, exactly how much of each size you'll end up needing.
Yeah. We did end up with some good leftover merch from Cast Connections.
Oh, because you know some cast members.
Yeah. I got a $3.99 Tervis tumbler.
That's legit.
Yeah, that's a
Those things are like $30.
I know. That's a serious steal there. So, little controversy that I've seen on social media. Just curious about your guys' thoughts since you've been running for a while. Any thoughts on the quality of the shirts that Run Disney's starting to put out now?
maybe like 2% above crap.
Yeah, they are not as nice as the Champion ones, which is like the old version. And that was the brand that they used. Those were just much better for running in. These ones are just a little scratchier. Even after you wash them and drown them in fabric softener, it doesn't help all too much. And I've noticed too, a lot of them, like out of the bag, seem to come with like some pilling and some pooling on them already. So that's unfortunate.
And you're talking specifically about the included shirts, or are you talking about even the like additional charge merch that they sell?
That's the included shirts. The merchandise that you have to pay for seems to be okay. You bought the sweatshirt at Wine and Dine. That's actually very nice, and that nothing's happened to that, and you've worn that a lot.
Yeah, I think the only thing I have to say there is sometimes sizing can vary on some of those merchandise items, and even the shirts that you get, I think we said they were running a little larger this time. So just be wary when you're going to pre-order things. Sometimes they're not always the size that they advertise.
Right. And always, before you buy a shirt, or even with the shirts they give you, just slip them on real quick at the expo. They have shirt exchange there. So if they have your size or a size that'll work for you better, you can always go and grab it while you're there.
Well, let's turn to the actual race day itself. You guys stayed at Pop. No problems getting to the course. Anything different before the races themselves on Princess Weekend?
Well, it was very cold. Like, people huddled together cold with their Mylar blankets and their sweats on. We literally, like, waited by the bag check to take off our sweats and stuff and check our bag until, like, the last moment, to the point that our corral had actually already moved up to the start position. So we were, like, running through the snake to try to get up into our corral.
And they don't provide anything. So just for anybody, if this is like new to you as far as Run Disney goes or any of the big races, they do not provide those Mylar blankets. Those are ones that people brought themselves, right?
Correct.
You can pick them up like at the dollar store. They're super cheap. Sometimes at the end of the races, they will give them out. I always suggest if they have them, grab one and just fold it up so that you can save it for next time.
So just prepare. That was one of the things that happened to me my very first race when I was running the marathon, or but when I ran the Marine Corps Marathon, it was so cold in the morning, and everybody else had like these kind of ratty sweatshirts and stuff like that, and I was there with just my shirt and my shorts on, and I was just freezing. And then I realized as soon as everybody took off running that everybody just takes that off and tosses it to the side, and then most of the races collect it and donate it to like homeless shelters and whatnot. So if this is a new race to you, just be forewarned. If it's going to be cold that day, it's kind of up to you to bring some warm clothing for yourself or some Mylar blankets.
Well, and conventional wisdom would say that, like, the further into the year you get, the warmer it gets, right? Like, you know, it's very cold in January and it's a little warmer in February and a little warmer in March. But this year's marathon weekend was the hottest marathon that they have had, right? So, and that was in January. And then you fast forward a month and, you know, a month and a couple of days. And next thing you know, it's like a super cold Princess half marathon. So I think the best thing you can do if you're ever going to do one of these events is to pack for both. Like, pack thinking that it might be freezing or that it might be really warm. Because I wore nothing but shorts and a running shirt back in January. And according to what Lake and Katie are saying now, it would have been really helpful to have like some of those throwaway like sweaters or things like that just to like stay warm in the corrals.
Yeah, I wore a sweatshirt and a long sleeve most of the race because it was that cold in this weekend. And last year, it was kind of flip-flop where marathon weekend was cooler and Princess was pretty warm.
So, Katie, you ran the 10K, which I think is like a really good distance because it's like challenging enough, but also like you could still like have fun the rest of your day and not like have to go put your whole body into like an ice bath. So I'm curious to hear what your experience was like doing the 10K, how you felt the overall went, and then also like how you felt for yourself. Like, did you do well? Did you do what you were hoping you would do? Did you have any goals? Things like that.
So the 10K was, first off, the coldest 10K I've ever had to do. So no ice bath was necessary. So I I will say that. So for this one, for whatever reason, I don't think it's based on the time that I put in. I was in Corral A. The 10Ks, if you're just doing the 10K, they don't actually require a proof of time. I'm pretty sure I did not put a time that would get me an A, but that's neither here nor there. So it was fun to be up there and see kind of the initial race start. That's kind of a first for me. The course was actually pretty good. I've definitely had worse 10K courses. It basically started in the Epcot parking lot, and you ran kind of away from it through those Epcot gates that you drive through. You make a turn, and then you go back into the backside of Epcot. You get to run all the way around the countries, all the way around Boardwalk, and then back into Epcot quickly to get to the finish. The theme was Pocahontas, which as soon as I heard that, that's why I did the 10K. No question about it. She is one of my absolute favorite princesses. Nostalgia for that movie, 100%. But they had Pocahontas as a character photo opportunity right at the start of the race. Then they also had John Smith. They had Governor Ratcliffe and Miko, all right in the first 3 miles. In those 3 miles, you're generally out of the park. So it was kind of nice to have some characters to look at. Once you got into the park, it's super fun. You go around those countries in Epcot. You have the cast members out there cheering for you. A lot of times they're cheering for you in like their own language, which is really cool to experience. The race itself went super smooth for me. I was doing intervals. You know, I like the run walk method. And I didn't see too much in the way of bottlenecks or anything. I was kind of up near the front, but I kind of looked out to see where those bottlenecks may occur. And I think this course is actually really good for that. I don't think there's too many opportunities. Personally, as far as my own time went, I was just shy of my PR, but my goal was to kind of do as even splits as possible. And I actually achieved that for sure. And most of my miles overall were faster than they would be if I had gone out way too hard. So I actually really, really enjoyed it. It's been one of my favorite 10Ks that I've ever done.
It sounds amazing. It also sounds like the theming and having Pocahontas. I haven't actually looked at pictures of the medal. Are you into the medal? Is it cool looking?
Oh, yeah. It's my favorite medal from the weekend. It has Pocahontas on it, and it's gold, but then they put pink and orange leaves flying by, like the colors of the wind.
Like the colors of the wind.
Yeah. And it just,
oh my gosh.
The combo of those colors with the gold is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I'm going to look up a picture. I think that would probably be amazing. Was there a pug anywhere?
Actually, there was. I'm pretty sure he was plastic, but he was there with Governor Ratcliffe, so he would be in your picture if you took it. And I thought that was the coolest thing. I wasn't running with anyone I knew, but when I saw it, I yelled out like, "Oh my gosh, it's Percy!" And half the people didn't know who that was as a character, but most people appreciated it.
Amazing. Okay, and Lake, you ran the 10K too?
I did, yeah. I wasn't going for a PR or anything. I actually ran it with a group of friends who I had met just meeting in the corrals every time. One of my usual buddies who I run the easy races with wasn't there. So I was like, oh, hey, do you mind if I run with you guys? And they were more than happy to let me run with them. So we just kind of cruised our way through. We said we were going to run like an 8-minute pace, and that meant we were going to run like a 17 it was like a 7:15 pace the whole race. I don't know why we started that fast, but we did. But it was still fun, and it was good.
Probably because it was cold and you were trying to warm up.
That is true. But yeah, we had stopped for, I think, almost all of the characters except for 1 or 2 that I had already gotten. But it was honestly a lot of fun. I enjoyed stopping for them and just enjoying the course.
And that's typically your style, like that if you're going to stop for characters, you stop during like the 5K or the 10K, and then during the half you run and you don't stop.
It depends. I usually pick either the 10K or the half to kind of kick it, and then the other one I'll do easy. So for Star Wars, I'm actually going to switch it up because I don't like the Star Wars 10K course. So for that one, I'm going to run the 10K fast, and then I'm going to enjoy the half marathon.
Okay. So that sums up the 10K. Is there anything else you'd want to tell us about the 10K before we switch to the half?
I think the only thing I noticed was with this 10K course that they do now, the buses cannot start like taking people back to your resort until after the sweepers get past that point, because you kind of pass through the start area during the race. So if you are an earlier finisher, there's really no reason to rush back to the buses, because there's a chance you'll hop on a bus and then sit there for like 30 minutes, which wasn't terrible because it was super cold out. So it was warm and there wasn't any wind, but just something to kind of keep in mind if you do finish early. And it's that 10K course that basically stays in the Epcot area. There's not a huge rush to get out of there if the course is still running by you.
I've got one last question for you guys before we move to the half. Do you guys ever run the races together? Or does that stress you guys out to run together? Because my wife, we'll run together training runs, but she wants to do her own thing on race day.
So Lake actually ran with me at the 10K in January. He was pacing me, and he got me almost to a PR. And I'm grateful for that. I will say the race wasn't particularly fun for me because of that, because he was pushing me really hard, but that's also kind of what I wanted. We have done in the past when we first started running together before we were married, and I guess, I was stuck with him and I couldn't do anything about it. He would actually run the 10Ks with me nice and slow. That doesn't happen so much anymore.
Let's turn to the half marathon then. Like, you ran this one by yourself this time, and without Katie, that is. What was the theme of the half marathon this year?
So the half marathon theme was Cinderella, just very classic princess. I don't have much more about that, to be honest.
Katie, you have any thoughts on the Cinderella theming that they did this year?
I love Cinderella. I actually, obviously, I mentioned earlier, I tried to upgrade to the challenge because I actually would like that medal, and I would have liked to see the course and what they did with it. She's so popular among so many people. She's been the icon for the race several times. So I guess it's not really different or surprising, but it's definitely pretty.
Well, let's talk about the race itself. Now, do they run the same? Is it the same course every year, or do they change it up as well?
So this is typically the same course every year. This is actually the same course that you also ran in January for the half.
Okay.
So you start in World Drive, or you start on Epcot Center Drive. You run World Drive through the Magic Kingdom parking lot, through the Magic Kingdom, down Main Street, and through the castle. And you go out the back and you kind of go around that resort area till you're back on World Drive and you head back towards Epcot.
That's a great little course, especially, being able to go through Magic Kingdom and whatnot. And since you ran that for Marathon Weekend, no wonder you PR'd. You'd already had practice on it.
Yeah, I actually enjoy this course for running fast. It's just another reason why I like this weekend. I don't know why I typically tend to do better on this course. I think it's because while World Drive isn't particularly interesting, going out and back for those couple miles, it is very flat, so you can kind of just get in the groove and go.
Yeah, I saw a picture of you crossing the finish line, and it was like you were by yourself and it was very dark outside. So I was telling myself, oh, Lake must have finished running the marathon before people even started the marathon.
He wasn't too far off. I was at the finish line, and it's in the same location as the start line, and they do the fireworks every time people start. And I think probably the last people started about 20 minutes before he finished.
Wow. Well, that's cool. That's exciting, too. You said it was a PR. Do you want to share like what that meant for you, or what a PR looks like for you?
Sure. So I ran a 1:25:49, so an hour and 25 minutes. My goal actually wasn't a time per se. It was to try to hold a pace. My goal was to hold a 6:30 minute per mile pace, and that averages out right to a 6:32. So 2 seconds over. Not going to complain. I was ecstatic about the race, and it was kind of one of those races where like everything just went good. Everything felt really good. I was obviously pushing myself, but never felt like I was dead at all during the race. I never hit a wall.
Amazing. Do you do nutrition on longer runs?
I do, yeah. So on my longer runs and during a race, I tend to stick to about every 30 minutes, I will take a GU. For the races, sometimes that varies. I usually try to make sure that I scout out where the water stops are and try to figure out where I'm going to be so I know if I need to take one like a little earlier. That way I can get the water down with it. But typically about every 30 minutes, both on my long runs and in a race.
And are you a water or a Powerade person or both?
Definitely both. If I'm taking a goo, I will, or gel, whatever, I will always do water with that, just because I need to like kind of rinse it out. But I do like to try to alternate between water and whatever electrolyte they're offering.
Okay, so you ran really fast and you finished before the sun was fully out. Were there any characters that tempted you to leave your 6-minute pace behind because you would have been excited to take a picture with them?
That is a good question. I always tell myself, even when I'm like running faster, that if there's someone I really wanted, I would stop. But I don't recall anyone like tempting me that hard this race. Sometimes with Princess, you do see a lot of reoccurring characters during the half that you've seen before or at prior Princesses. And one of the disadvantages, too, to running that fast is sometimes you literally beat the characters out there, or sometimes there's supposed to be 2 characters out there and there's only one. For instance, during the 10K, I got a picture with Quasimodo, but Katie said when she passed, Esmeralda and Quasi were out. So one of those things that can be a disadvantage to running up front.
Yeah, especially because Esmeralda is goals. I love making Steve chuckle at like me being youthful. Especially, I don't know if you heard the time that Steve unintentionally kept quoting Mean Girls.
Oh no, I remember that.
That's my favorite thing that's happened so far on the podcast this year.
Yours and quite a few other people too, so which is killing me because all that attention you're getting is going to make your contract that much more expensive when we try and sign you again next year. So
I know, I'm very costly.
Well, congratulations, Lake. What an amazing run.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and like we mentioned, kind of on that whole stretch of World Drive and on Epcot Center Drive, the people who are just starting or in the middle of their race are on the other side of the road. And I was 13th male, 16th of everybody. So for a lot of people, I was like one of those earlier people they saw, and they were still excited. So they were like cheering for us from across the median. So that was super encouraging as well. Another cool thing that happened too was I ran probably about the back half of the race with the 3rd overall female. So like I got to see her finish right in front of me and run most of the race with her. So that was really cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, what motivation to kind of push you along too and keep you running, to keep up with somebody that's running that fast. Not that you weren't running fast also, but that's just what a special moment to do that. You know, kind of thinking back on this, you guys, and it's sort of generic to all the races, but is there anything special, or is there any advice that you would have for people coming down for Princess Half Marathon weekend next year?
Well, if it's your first race, I would definitely say try not to panic. I feel like when you're going in to run Disney for the first time, it's very overwhelming. And I feel like with the rise of social media, it's gotten more overwhelming because there's just so many messages of different things people are worrying about. But, you know, read the website, do your little bit of research, kind of worry about your own race, and everything else will really fall into place. When you get out there, there's so many people around you supporting you. It's like the best thing in the world. And I'm not anywhere near as fast a runner as my husband is, and I still have a wonderful time every time I go out there.
And I think my big one would be train. You know, you can do a half marathon with some very reasonable training, and there's plenty of plans out there. And it's one thing that you can get out and do a couple days a week and have that assurance that you know you're going to finish, than to also be panicking about everything else going on during the weekend and worrying about whether or not you're going to finish the race at all.
It's really great advice. And Chris, you ran your first half marathon during marathon weekend. do you have any advice for people running their first time? I know that was a big step up for you, and you were a little bit nervous as we were kind of texting about it ahead of time, but what was your experience and what's your advice for people that are thinking about running Run Dizzy for the first time?
I have like a unique experience in that Lake and Katie live so close that it's a feasible goal for them to do all the Disney races. But for me, unless they bring them back to Southern California, which Disney, I know you're listening, bring it back to Disneyland. But unless they bring it back here, it is truly not feasible for me to do more than like one of those races a year. So I have to be pretty like picky about which thing I would choose to do. And so what ended up happening for me after I did that first half marathon is I signed up for 2 more half marathons pretty much right away, but just in parts of the country that I was already going to be. So like I'm doing the San Diego half marathon next weekend. I'm super excited about it and also a little bit nervous because there's like a 2-mile hill, but I think that'll be exciting. The nice thing about a 2-mile hill is that also means there's like a downhill portion to the finish line, which, you know, you could pick up some speed there. And then I'm doing the Brooklyn half marathon because I'm often in New York for work and it just happened to work with my schedule. And the Brooklyn half marathon is pretty much an entirely flat course that ends at Coney Island, also sort of like an iconic thing. And I would just say, like, if it's your first time, I won't say you're going to love it because, as some of you know, Seth did it and was like, cool, I did that. Now I'm done forever. Which I'm sort of like, yeah, that makes you probably like a normal person. But I'm someone who never thought I would ever run in my whole life. And then I did it and I enjoyed it enough to like immediately sign up for 2 more. And I'm going to go for the full marathon next year. So I don't know. I think if you get bit by the bug, you could open yourself up to like a fun, healthy hobby that is exciting when you can sort of like meet your goals and achieve the things you're looking for. So that's my advice is try it. And if the worst that can happen is if you don't like it, like you found out you didn't like it. But the best that could happen is that you have a new hobby, and that's pretty fun.
And Chris, that's the exact same way I got into it too. I didn't start running until 2012 when I decided to run the 2013 half. So it definitely will bite you.
Well, I'm impressed. So my wife, her first road run race was the Walt Disney World Marathon 25 years ago. So I'm going to date ourselves a little bit, but I thought that was actually 20 years ago. 20 years ago is when she did it. She did the 5th. So now I'm really messing up my math. But anyway, she did the 5th marathon. So that was her first one. And I'm totally impressed that you, Katie, the first one you did was the half, and same with you, Chris.
Go big or go home.
I love it.
Gotta do it.
So I'm remiss. I am so bad. You guys are experts for Run Dizzy. I really appreciate both of you guys coming on and talking about this. And I always forget to mention right at the beginning that you guys have your own YouTube channel. So I know you guys have a lot of great videos on there talking about all the different Run Dizzy events that you've been part of. But if somebody wants to find more Run Disney information, why don't you throw it out there, Lake and Katie, that a little bit about your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so our YouTube channel is called Mouse Gen, so mouse like Mickey Mouse, and then GEN. No spaces or anything. But yeah, we basically just, whenever we're in the parks or at a race weekend or doing other Disney or travel related things, we'll kind of record some clips, do some vlogs, and then we also, a lot of times we'll sit down afterwards and do reviews of the different resorts that we stay at and the different races. For instance, literally right before we recorded this, I just posted our review of the Princess Weekend. So if you want to hear kind of some more in-depth details about the races that we ran and more of our experiences in it, you can check that out as well.
Anything to add, Katie?
You can check us out on Instagram, too. We're also MouseGen on Instagram. That's more my realm. I don't do the video edits, so but I'm really good at Instagram. So check that out. We'll have some good cruise stuff coming up soon.
Yes, we will.
Just to kind of segue into that, we're not going to finish up just quite yet. You guys have got a cruise coming up here soon, right?
Yeah, it's like 2 days and 21 hours. Where's the app? I gotta.
Where's the countdown?
Gotta get your countdown.
I am so jealous. So Chris just got off the Star Wars DNC on the Fantasy, and now you guys are getting ready to go where?
So we're going to go on the Disney Dream out of Port Canaveral for the four nights.
Yes.
I think the order is Nassau, Castaway, and then a sea day.
And why did you guys pick this one this time?
We actually booked this one when we were on our honeymoon, so it leaves on our anniversary, our first anniversary. I did not want to fly anywhere this time. No offense, I do not like airplanes.
None taken. I totally understand.
So this is a convenient drive over the morning of. Don't have to worry about how much our bag weighs or anything. So it should be a really nice, relaxing vacation.
That's amazing that it's going to be your anniversary. And if you haven't already, you should tell them it's going to be your anniversary, because they'll do like a little rose petal romantic towel animal moment for you and sing to you in the main dining room. You might be asking yourself, what is the anniversary song? And it's literally the same song they sing for birthday, but just with happy anniversary replaced. So you have that to look forward to.
I don't know if it's on there. We should check that.
You should definitely tell them.
Definitely take it for whatever it's worth. I mean, take whatever they'll give you. That can make it a lot of fun. Especially, I mean, they really, those dining rooms sometimes, when the whole dining room gets singing for somebody's birthday, I think that's pretty cool. So I hope they do something like that special for you guys' anniversary. Well, have you guys been on the Dream before?
I have. That was where I did my first cruise. I actually did that with my sister.
And I have not.
And what are you guys looking forward to on this cruise? Is it time on the ship, getting off at Nassau, going over to Atlantis and going down the slides? I'm just kidding. But what are some of the things you guys are looking forward to doing on this cruise?
Definitely not getting off at Nassau. I think for me, it's definitely exploring the ship and comparing and contrasting between that and the Wonder, which was the last ship we were on and the only Disney ship that I have to compare it to, as well as getting off at Castaway, because that's supposed to be amazing, and I'm excited to experience as much of it as I can.
Yeah.
I don't think I realized that you have not been to Castaway before.
No, this will be my first time because our first cruise was an Ensenada.
Oh, in my neck of the woods. Well, you're going to love Castaway, but also you get to go on the Aqueduct. Are you a waterslide person?
I don't necessarily seek out water slides, but
No.
I do enjoy going on and like trying them to say I did it, because that's always a question, is like, oh, how was the water slide?
Okay, well, this one is also like a pretty like thrill light water slide, I would say. It's more just like a relaxing, slightly thrilling water ride. And I think it's a fun thing. Also, you can like go in the evenings just before dinner and the line's not too long. So if you end up hating it, you won't feel like you like gave your whole afternoon waiting in line.
I think it's kind of cool to do at night, but I think we cut you off, Katie. What were some of the things that you're thinking about doing?
I'm also excited to kind of explore the ship again. It was, I think, 2018 when I went, and actually it was a kind of unique situation. It was actually a charter cruise, so certain things were open, certain things weren't. They had some shows running, they didn't have some other shows running, so I'm excited to see all the things I missed out on the first time. And honestly, I'm really, really excited to just see Lake experience it for the first time, because he gets all excited and it's really cute. So that'll be really fun.
It was the sixth time before we finally went on one of the bigger ships. And what's amazing to me, Lake, is when you get on that ship, is even though it's so much bigger and it is different, it's so similar too. It's going to feel almost like you're on the Wonder, if that makes any sense what I'm saying. Does that make sense, Chris?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just like a little bit bigger. Like everything is just like a little bigger. But the layout is pretty much identical.
I'm excited for it, and we're going to make sure that we take lots of videos and do some vlogging and whatnot on the ship, so definitely check out our channel for some of that too.
Yeah, and we're doing one of the spa packages too, which will be different and kind of hopefully good to talk about.
Are you doing the couples massage?
We're doing it's the couples massage, but it's also where you get like your own like balcony.
Yes.
The
like
fancy.
the couples getaway thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's going to be so exciting and like fun and romantic.
We're excited for it. I think that's one of the big things we're looking forward to. Massages.
Are you guys doing the rainforest room as well?
We were probably not going to do that one this time because we're spending a lot of money on the couples thing. We weren't sure if they gave you access to it if you like already had like for the day that you have a appointment. We were hoping maybe they would so we could see it.
Do you know, Chris? I'm not sure.
That's a good question. I don't know. I wish I did know.
But
I
We'll
think
find
so,
out.
like, with the exception of, so I did the rainforest on my last cruise, and with the exception of the, like, tropically showers and the hot stone beds, you will have in your little couple retreat, you'll have your own, like, jacuzzi, hot tub type situation. And so it'll be like, you're not really missing out. You know what I mean? But I think it would be cool if they let you go in there. You'll have to report back to us and tell us if it's included or not.
Yeah, we'll definitely try to find out.
Also, Katie, what type of room did you all book?
We actually kind of went through a process. I think originally we had a veranda when we originally booked it on our old cruise. We actually ended up canceling that reservation and went with an inside guarantee because it saved us like $2,000.
And you could do a couples massage.
Exactly. We're good with inside staterooms. That's what I had last time on the Dream, and we had the magic porthole, and it was really cool. So I'm excited to have that again. And they actually assigned it to us already. We're deck 5 forward.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Neither of you get motion sickness?
I do a little bit. I tested that out on the first cruise I went on to see if I did or didn't because I wasn't sure, and I definitely do. But the Dramamine usually works for me just fine.
Are you guys out and about most of the time anyways?
It depends. I definitely like a nap, but I can nap not in the room. I can nap on deck. I can nap in a chair at the coffee shop. I'm good.
I think it'll depend on our last cruise that we talked to you guys about. We were very tired because we had gone all the way over to California, then spent days in Disneyland, and we had gotten married. So by the time we got to the cruise, it was a lot of napping. So I think we are excited to try to like stay up a little later and experience some of the nightlife, and then also like get up and explore the ship during some of the quiet times too.
Okay, two last questions. Obviously, going to Castaway Cay, you're going to have to do the 5K, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
You got to get that medal, right? not quite the Run Disney medals, but I think they're still pretty cool. And then how about food? Are you guys going to do Palo or Remy or anything like that?
We're going to do Palo Brunch. We did the Palo Brunch on the Wonder, and we really loved it. And I did the Palo Brunch on the Dream the first time I went on it and really loved it. So we're excited about it. Eventually, we want to try Palo Dinner, and eventually we want to try Remy. But we're trying to space out the new experiences. You know, we know we're going to go on more cruises, so we know we're going to have another opportunity. And we also still have not gone on enough Disney cruises where we're tired of the main dining room food yet. We actually still really like it, so we want to have the opportunity to eat all those dinners as well.
Also, you're getting to live the dream and have a sea day after Castaway.
Yes, it is like the perfect cruise scenario because I think both of our recent cruises we took, the sea day was the first day, and then we would have like port days after that. So it was kind of crazy, you know, on that last day trying to get off the ship and get our things ready that night before.
The thing I think is kind of cool too is as you go on a couple more different cruises like that, you don't feel like you have to do everything, and so you get to have those moments, or you feel like you can just take those moments where, you know what, I'll do that on the next cruise, like you're talking about as far as like Palo Dinner. Instead of packing everything into, you know, that one cruise where you never have any downtime, you can actually take that nap out up on top, you know, up there by Satellite Falls, or go back to the Rim and watch a movie and take a nap and not feel like you're missing out on anything also, which is a great thing to do on the cruises as well.
Agree. Also, you two are lucky in that if you want, you could spend the whole day over at Serenity Bay and not even have to go to the family beach and fight for space. I think Serenity Bay is like my favorite part of Castaway Cay, and it's so beautiful there and quiet. And also, if you go to the restaurant that's by Serenity Bay, there's like some food there that they don't serve at the family restaurant. Like, I think you can get steak and ribs and things that they don't serve over at the other restaurants. So, fun fact.
That'll probably be where we post up.
Yeah, we're pretty excited
right
for
by the
it.
food.
But I will offer to you guys for the next cruise that you guys take, if you want to borrow our kids and take them with you just to practice, You guys can have them over on the Dream, and Wake and I'll go on the Wonder or something over here on a little cruise at the same time. So just let us know if you want to practice with kids sometime. We'll make that swap happen. So
That's on your wallet, right?
yeah, exactly. Well, Chris, any other questions before we get out here today about the cruise or anything else?
I don't think so. I'm just excited for you. You're living like the Disney dream. You ran Princess Weekend. You're going on a cruise. You just booked Wine and Dine. It's great. And I'm glad to catch up with you.
We're excited, all kinds of fun things. And the day we get back a Friday, so we'll be going into the weekend, and Flower and Garden Festival starting. So I think we're planning on hitting that up because Walt Disney World is like basically the halfway point between home and Port Canaveral for us.
Sounds like you're just rubbing it in their face now.
And that's why I started this podcast, because Chris is down in Disneyland. I think you just going to the new parade this weekend too, aren't you, Chris?
Yeah. I'm gonna hit up the new parade and meet some of our listeners. So it'll be fun. It'll be a fun time to like get to know some new folks and show off my Disneyland knowledge that I like have way too much of.
And then obviously Lake and Katie are on their way on a cruise and then on to Flower and Garden. So I just have to live vicariously through people as I sit up here in the rain in Oregon. But I love the fact that you guys are doing so many fun different things. So, well, as we get out of here today, once again, thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And Lake, Katie, why don't you once again let everybody know where they can connect with you through your vlog and through your podcast and whatnot else on social media.
Yeah, so all of our Disney and Run Disney content and kind of fun travel things can be found on our YouTube page, MouseGen. We also have a website, themousegen.com, and an Instagram, which is mouse.gen. But most of our content's focused through the YouTube channel right now. And then I also run a podcast called Pretty Much Anything Nerdy. So if you're looking to get down and nerdy with different Disney content, Star Wars, Marvel, all of that fun stuff, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, basically anywhere where you listen to podcasts.
And Katie, you had that Instagram channel one more time?
It's mouse.gen. So MOUSE, like Mickey Mouse, .GEN.
I look forward to you guys' videos every time they pop up. I always have a fun time watching what you guys are up to, and I can't wait to see you guys come back and see the videos of your cruise on the beautiful Disney Dream. So have a great cruise, and we will talk to you when you guys get back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Once again, I really want to thank Lake and Katie for coming on and sharing their experiences with Run Disney's Princess Half Marathon Weekend 2020. They've got several videos up on their vlog over at MouseGen on YouTube. You can go over there and check out all the action and all the excitement they had over at Princess Weekend. And also, they've got videos from their 4-night Disney Dream cruise as well. And we did not actually do a full trip report with them, but when they got back, they were one of the first actual Disney cruises when the whole COVID kind of 19 stuff hit, that they actually had a lot of changes on their cruise. And we did a quick show with them back on March 14th. You can go and find our show. Doesn't have a number associated with it like our regular episodes. It was just a special episode. But if you go back to March 14th, you can find Lake and Katie from MouseGen talk about changes aboard the Disney Dream this past week due to the coronavirus, and you can find out a little bit more how their cruise went. But I'd really like to send you over to their vlog, their video content, to really kind of show all the fun that they had sailing on board the Disney Dream. If you have questions about our show, or if you would like to appear on our show, you can reach out to me, Steve, at DCLpodcast.com. We cover Disney Cruise Line mostly, obviously, because it's the DCL podcast, but we always love talking Run Disney and Adventures by Disney as well. So reach out to me, Steve, at DCLpodcast.com, and we'll work on getting you coming on the show here soon. If you'd like to support our show, you can do so through our Patreon program. You can find out all the information over at patreon.com/DCL podcast. Well, on behalf of myself, Steve, Christy, and Chris, all of us here at the DCL podcast, we want to wish you and your families all the best. Be well out there, and we'll see you next time on the DCL podcast. The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.